The Battle of Issy was fought on 2 and 3 July 1815 in and around the village of Issy, a short distance southwest of Paris. The result was a victory for Field Marshal Prince Blucher over a French army under the command of Marshal Davout, Prince of Eckmühl, defending Paris. Prelude. After the French defeat of the Battle of Waterloo, the armies of the Duke of Wellington and Blucher, and other 7th Coalition forces, advanced upon Paris. Wellington and Blucher continued their operations up to the gates of Paris and, on the 30th of June, had recourse to a movement which proved decisive of the fate of the city. Marshal Blucher, having taken the village of Aubervilliers, or Virtus, made a movement to his right, and crossing the Seine at Saint-Germain, below the capital, threw his whole force upon the south side of the city, where no preparations had been made to receive an enemy. This was a thunderbolt to the French. It was then that their weakness and the coalition's strength were seen most conspicuously, because at that moment the armies of Wellington and Blucher were separated and the whole French army was between them. Yet, the French could not move to prevent their junction. After the war, Lazare Carnot blamed Napoleon for not fortifying Paris on the south side, and said he forewarned Napoleon of this danger. The French were thus obliged to abandon all the works that they had constructed for the defense of the capital, and threw the army over the Seine to meet the Prussians. Although a Prussian brigade was defeated in a skirmish at Roquencourt near Versailles, the movement of the Prussians to the right was not checked. On the morning of the 2nd of July, the Prussian First Corps under the command of General Zieten had its right at Plessis-Piquet, and its left at Meudon, with its reserves at Versailles. Attack. Zieten advanced on the 2nd of July towards the heights of Meudon and Châtillon and fought a sharp battle for the possession of Chevreuse, Moulonneau, and Issy. The contest was obstinate, but the Prussians finally surmounted all difficulties and succeeded in establishing themselves firmly upon the heights of Meudon and in the village of Issy. The French losses during this engagement are estimated at 3,000 men. Counter-attack. At a French council of war, which was held during the night of 2/3 July in Paris, it was decided that the defense of the capital was not practicable against the two coalition armies. Nevertheless, the French commander-in-chief, Marshal Davout, was desirous of another attempt before he would finally agree to a suspension of hostilities. At 3 o'clock on the morning of the 3rd of July, Vandamme, commander of the French Third Corps, advanced in 2 columns from Vaurères to attack Issy. Between Vaurères and the river Seine he had a considerable force of cavalry, the front of which was flanked by a battery advantageously posted near Auteuil on the right bank of the river. The action commenced with a brisk cannonade, the French having brought 20 pieces of cannon against the front of the village, which was then vigorously assailed by his infantry. The Prussians had constructed some barricades and other defences during the night, but these did not protect them from the sharp fire of case shot, which was poured upon them by the French batteries, the guns of which enfiladed the streets. The 12th and 24th Prussian regiments, and the 2nd Westphalian Landwehr, supported by a half battery of 12-pounders, fought with great bravery. There was much loss on both sides. At length the French withdrew, but only to advance again, considerably reinforced. The 2nd Prussian Brigade was immediately ordered to join the 1st, and the whole of the troops of the 1st Prussian Corps stood to arms. Zieten sent a request to Blucher for the support of 2 brigades of Bülow's 4th Prussian Corps and, at the same time, begged Thielemann to advance from Châtillon and to threaten the French left flank. In the meantime the French renewed their attack upon Issy, which, however, again proved unsuccessful. This was followed by a heavy cannonade and by further assaults, without any decided advantage having been gained over the defenders. The French did not appear disposed to venture upon a more general attack, which would have offered them a much greater chance of forcing back the Prussian advanced guard. The French commanders probably considered that such an attack if unsuccessful, might end with the suburbs of Paris being easily carried by storm. Accordingly, after 4 hours continued but fruitless attempts upon Ziethen's advanced position, the French fell back upon Paris, with the Prussian skirmishers following them until they came within a very short distance of the barriers surrounding the city. Aftermath. Issy was the final attempt of the French army to defend Paris, and, with this defeat, all hope of holding Paris faded. The French High Command decided that they would capitulate. Accordingly, at 7 o'clock in the morning, the French ceased fire and Brigadier General Revist was delegated to approach Ziethen's corps, which was the nearest to the capital of all the coalition forces, to offer a capitulation and to request an immediate armistice. On hearing of the unilateral French ceasefire, Blücher demanded that the French provide delegates with full powers of negotiation before he would finally agree to a suspension of hostilities, and indicated the Palace of St. Cloud as the place where the negotiations should be carried on. He then moved his headquarters to the palace. Officers furnished with full powers by their respective chiefs soon met at St. Cloud, where the Duke of Wellington had joined Prince Blücher. The result of their deliberations was the surrender of Paris under the terms of the Convention of St. Cloud. Napoleon Bonaparte had already announced his abdication, unable to remain in France or to escape from it. A few days later, on the 15th of July, he surrendered himself to Captain Maitland of HMS Bellerophon and was transported to England. The full restoration of Louis XVIII followed the emperor's departure. Napoleon Bonaparte was exiled to the island of St. Helena, where he died in May 1821.